Hey everyone, Data here, and welcome to Video Game Recall. We're joined by my brother Jesse Quest, and the idea of the show is pretty simple. We both have a list of games that the other doesn't know about, and that we both share memories of, and we're just gonna go down our lists and share our recollections of the game and our experiences with it. So, whether you're listening actively or passively, just kick back, relax, and hopefully you enjoy this retrospective as we take you through our personal memories and experiences with these games.
Hey everyone, it's Jesse Quest.
So let's begin. I'll go first.
Okay,
All right, and the first one should be one that's on your mind right now, anyhow.
okay,
Life Force.
okay.
So I'm gonna say my memory of Life Force. We both played it a lot growing up, and I don't even think we had Gradius,
Yeah,
which it's technically a sequel to, I believe.
Yeah.
It's called Salamander
yeah,
in Japan, and I know at least Life Force, Salamander are arcade games, which we didn't have access to that. We only had the NES version. That's the one we're
Right.
talking about.
right.
And it's one of those that you had a code for to give you more lives, like the Contra code.
It's a Konami code.
Yeah, it's Konami.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't remember ever playing it without that code, or at least, like, seriously,
Yeah.
because, like, we would die, and I think it's, like, 3 lives, and
Every
then you're
single.
over.
Yeah.
And you lose all your power-ups, almost all your power-ups when you die.
Yeah, unless you have options which you can grab.
Yeah, you can grab them if you're fast enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember playing it a lot, and the first level and the second level are the ones I remember most.
Right.
And then actually the third level is the one that I just couldn't beat.
Which
like,
one
by
is that?
myself. It's the fire level.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I remember you saying something about it being in some sort of body. But now that we've seen it, like, at the end, they race out of a planet. So now you were saying something about it being, like, you think it's a living planet, or...
Right, I think what we thought as kids, because Jesse and I were talking about this last night, is we thought it was more like a Fantastic Voyage, where like a ship gets shrunken and it's like going into a body, like a person's body, because it's definitely biological. Like you're fighting brains and what have you, like weird biological components. But simultaneously, there are levels that have like technology in them, like you're fighting robots and like weird, like what did you say last night? Like Egyptian tomb or something. You
Yeah,
fight a
yeah.
sphinx.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have just realized last night. I'm not too sure, but at the end of the game, when you beat it, your ship or ships are seen evacuating a planet as it explodes.
Right.
So my thought now, and I don't think I ever read the manual for it or anything,
Right.
is the thing. But my thought now is that it's some sort of biological planet, like a living planet.
Yeah, yeah.
That seems like it would make the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, you've got all this, like, living matter and muscle and stuff, and, like, you've got a brain that you fight, and you've got a skull that you fight. And
Right.
It's like, unless it's just, like, supposed to be creepy alien crap, like, biological crap all over the place, then I think it's probably... Because the last thing you fight, I think, is the heart
Right.
of the planet, and you have to destroy that before you leave. And like creeps you up a little by little, but you've got to destroy it before you leave. I actually never thought about what happens if you don't destroy it before you leave, because you may be able to leave
Huh.
without destroying it.
That's very interesting, actually,
Yeah.
because I never thought of that either.
Yeah, it's funny how games from way back, there are still memories to be had. There are still questions to be answered. It doesn't exclude the game.
Right. And it is true, like, if this were a human body, like, this person, you'd be killing this person, right? So you're destroying the brain and the skull and the heart, but it can't be, like, a human body.
No, it's not. It's definitely not, because if you were shooting the skull, I know that this is NES logic, but still, like, You'd have to be outside of someone's body to be fighting the
Right.
whole skull. And
Right.
if it was the person, then their eyeballs come out and try and like float at you and destroy you.
Yeah, and there's
So
multiple eyes because the brain has an eye.
yeah,
And then the eyes are in the skull, and they come out of the skull,
yeah, yeah,
like on their own to like follow around your ship or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And then there's the machine in the second level. Like all of those things, I thought like the orbs look like eyes too. So
Right, right. And Jesse is currently streaming this game over on his channel, by the way, Jesse Quest. It's in my featured channels. It's my only featured channel currently, which is one of the reasons I thought to talk about it. But we actually have a lot of history with it
yeah,
because this was one of our favorite games growing up.
it was.
It's probably the only real like shooter game, like spaceship shooter game we had on the NES. I remember like renting Gradius later and thinking it just wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And I still think that.
It is funny thinking about it from a Fantastic Voyage point of view, which we did for a very long time,
Yeah.
because you're like wondering how did all this crap get in this person's body? Like,
Yeah.
spikes like piercing through their freaking, But then you fight blood platelets too,
Right.
So it's like, am I inside a body right now? So it's like, but the blood platelets must be planet blood platelets,
Right. Like, it's like, why is this person's organs attacking me?
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
You got to think like there's some sort of virus or something.
this is like, the enemy they fight in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Like, what's his name?
Ego.
Yeah,
He's from the comics.
So this is more of an ego situation where we got like a living planet that's doing something. I haven't read the story in a while, but
Well, Ego is like a planet with a giant face in the comics at least, but I don't remember as far as I remember. I don't remember in the movie if Ego ends up having a giant face.
he does.
Okay.
At some point, yeah, like when they're trying to get away, it like becomes a face. It's really creepy.
Yeah, so let's continuing on with Life Force. Let's talk about. We mentioned in the previous video, and we're not gonna go into like what this was specifically, but we a long time ago tried to start a YouTube channel. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't streaming; it was making videos,
Yeah.
like Let's Plays, basically.
Yeah.
And Life Force was our first episode.
Yeah.
It was the first one we recorded. We recorded it twice.
Did we record it twice?
We
I think some of
did.
those we recorded twice. A couple of them we recorded twice.
Yeah, we didn't want to not get through like the entire game, I think. And the first round we died completely even with the code. And we were like, we have to start over again. We don't want to like
just die without getting to the end.
Right. And that's another memory cuz Life Force follows us down the line in this way because that's another memory we have with it is that was really our first video that way. And we went solid for like a year with that show until we like decided to like go back to college.
Yeah.
And we were working on a short film project at the time as well that became a possible feature film project. So
the Life Force episode was the beginning of a lot that we did. I want to say it's closer to like 15 to 25 like little episodes we did, but
right.
Yeah, Life Force just seemed to be the number one choice, even above Mega Man. Like thinking of it as the first because 2-player game Mega Man. Most Mega Man games aren't 2-player, unless they're like fan games or something.
Yeah.
So, like I think I would have chosen and you would have chosen Mega Man as well, but Life Force is like the shoot 'em up version of Contra. So it's a good 2-player game.
It's just something we have a lot of fun with playing together, and we had a lot of fun doing that, and we remember playing it with our father too.
Yeah, he even played it a little bit,
Yeah, and then more recently, well, I already mentioned Jesse is streaming it over on his channel,
Mm-hmm.
but we played the arcade version, like actual arcade cabinet, like what was it, like a week and a half ago,
Yeah.
and we were playing that too because I had never played that. Had you ever played that in the arcade?
Which one?
Life Force.
Yeah. I played it when we were there recently. I may have played it before that too on like an emulator. So.
Yeah, I had bought for the show we used to do. I had also bought the Japanese PlayStation release because they did a Salamander release re-release,
Mm-hmm.
and I had bought that and we never got around to it. So I had
Right.
played it there briefly and probably on an emulator, but I had never played the original arcade machine. So that was a first for us, I
Right.
think. And
Yeah.
again, we were having a lot of fun with it. We were in a huge arcade, so we were trying to run around, play all the games, right? But that was another huge thing that we had never done, and that was very recent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a game that tracks us back through history.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be in our future as well. Jesse's streaming it. We talked about me possibly sitting in on a stream or two, which we still might do,
Mm-hmm.
because we have fun playing it together.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that's all we really have to say for that. It's not something that we have like huge like recollections of like that are very very vast and deep, but it's just something that's tracked us along the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, and that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. No, it's a good game.
Definitely
Go check
is.
it out. It's a hard game though too. I'm trying to beat it without dying.
Oh,
So I got all the way to level 5 doing that to like the pyramid style place, but the pillars got me.
Ooh.
Like moving pillars up and down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the same one that has like the dancing Easter Island heads? That's the end.
That might be the end, yeah. I don't know if I think it does end up having those, but usually in Galaga they're like in the second level if I remember correctly. So
You're talking about Gradius or
Gradius, yeah.
Galaga is actually a funny one because my friend who lived across the street, is our friend who lived across the street, used to have this old Macintosh, and this was back in the 80s, and he had Galaga on it. That was probably like one of the first like spaceship games I ever played outside of something on Nintendo, right? I had never played Galaga or Galaxian. Maybe like I don't even think I had encountered it in the arcades because I was very
Yeah.
very young.
Yeah.
But that's just an interesting thing you brought up because that's
Yeah,
kind of the evolution of it, right?
Yeah, and it is. That's more like an arcade style. It's like the evolution of arcade style games because Life Force has a lot more consistency to it.
Right.
Whereas Galaga, it's just kind of like shoot the things, get points, don't die.
Yeah, Galaga like came from Space Invaders, which was even more basic. So you
Yeah.
can see like Space Invaders to Galaga and Galaxian.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's the history of that, which is an interesting aside. But I think
We can move on to the next
yeah,
one.
we're good to move on. I think we've said all we really need to say about Life Force. Although
Yeah.
I'm sure we could say more, but that's the basics of it
Right.
as far as it pertains to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we can move on to Jesse's.
Yep.
You've got another one. Let's go.
It's how about Tetris?
Tetris. Okay.
Just straight up Tetris, which is kind of deceiving because there are a lot of games like Tetris, and Tetris has been around since like my childhood, and there's been the most iterations of any game pretty much.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
We've played it everywhere. I remember playing it on the NES,
Mm-hmm.
the licensed version, not the Tengen version,
Right.
and just everybody probably in our household being addicted to it.
Yeah, we all played it. We all tried it.
We all played it. Our father was addicted to it. Our sister was addicted to it.
They were the best at it.
They were the best at it. And yeah, it follows you down through the ages because it's one that's still around. In that same arcade we were talking about earlier, we were playing Tetris as well.
Mm-hmm.
And-
We got Tetris on NES. We got Tetris on Game Boy. I don't think we ever got Tetris on like Super Nintendo, but we had Super Game Boy, so we would
Right.
just play Tetris there.
Right.
And even all the way down to the first Xbox, they had, I don't know if it was called like Tetris Worlds or something. And
I remember that.
Dad played that too, which I think is pretty funny. But I don't know why it's funny. Everyone seems to. It's an understandable game. You know, it's very simple.
Deceptively simple.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's not actually simple once it starts. It's like any puzzle game. Our father was addicted to Dr. Mario too, and so was our
yeah.
uncle.
I was thinking about talking about Dr. Mario, but that's a whole other story in a
It's a
way.
whole other can of worms,
Yeah, yeah,
right? One of my biggest recollections of Tetris is being in high school,
mm-hmm.
and there were computers in our high school that had internet access, which we had at home,
Yeah,
but the computers there were better, I suppose. They had like certain securities on the computer, but I figured out, and you could log in to like your own account, like you had to put in a password and stuff.
right, right.
And I figured out on mine how to bypass the securities and download emulators.
Yeah.
And I would go in there because I had a Tetris, like, I don't know, like an itch for a certain amount of time. Like, I had to play Tetris. So on my
Right.
lunch break, I would go in there instead and I would play Tetris. I think I played it like on Newgrounds first or on some crappy
Yeah,
Java based thing, and then finally I figured out how to download emulators.
yeah.
And I had it on NES there, and that's also, this is for another time as well. That's the first time I ever played Mega Man 7 was at high school because we did not own. It's one of the only Mega Man games up to that point we did not own. We owned the X series, but we did not own Mega Man 7 on SNES, at least at first, as I recall.
Yeah.
But I had this huge time period where I just had this huge itch for Tetris, and I would be playing it every day, like on my lunch break. And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, like she was saying stuff about it, like I was like, I need to play Tetris, I need to play Tetris. And I don't know why, but I think
You mean both of you were obsessed?
no, I think she was like, she liked it, but she was like, I don't know why you like just need to play Tetris right now. I'm like, I just need to.
Right.
It might have been like a decompression in a way, but I just remember being addicted to it. I was addicted to it when I was young,
Yeah.
but then that just like came back up all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's like the most played like game you can play in a browser, like in cubicles across the world, you know? Like
Right.
while you're bored and you have nothing else to do, it's just kind of like second to fiddling your thumbs, which sounds boring, but it's not. I don't know. I don't know why I made it sound that way. It is. It's fun, but it's only fun for a little bit. It's only as fun as you wanting to have your attention on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Once it can get very frustrating,
Yes.
like many puzzle games.
Yes.
But I don't remember. Do you remember branching out into other Tetrises very much? Because I think I only remember like original Tetris very much.
I did the Tetris on the Game Boy, of course,
Right.
because it's the same. And then, like I said, the Xbox One. So they had like bonus games. I don't know if it was like, eventually they had like 2-player Tetris
Right.
versing each other. I don't know if that was called Tetris Attack or whatever. I didn't own it. But the latest memory I have is of the newer Tetris that's on the PS4. I can't remember what it's called, but I have wanted to get it for a while, and I may have to talk about it later because I don't even have the name for it.
Oh, yeah?
Right now in my head. No, I can't think of the name.
Yeah, one other thing I remember about Tetris is the GameCube, I think it was, when it could have been the N64, but they had it on display somewhere before we owned it, and it had like a Tetris Sphere or 3D Tetris
Yeah.
on there, and that was the game they had for you to try on the display.
Oh, okay.
And that's another Tetris I remember for that reason. We never owned it.
Was it for the GameCube, or are you talking about Virtual Boy? Because I know Virtual Boy has like 3D Tetris as well. I
It
guess-
was not, no, this was like a sphere.
a sphere, really?
Yeah, I think it was called Tetris Sphere.
Yeah.
For the virtual Game Boy, when they had it set up at the Toys R Us, the game they had on display was the Mario one, the crappy Mario one.
Yeah, the new Tetris, not the one that I was talking about, but they have one on Nintendo that's like a battle royale, and I always thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever played it that much. I played it a bit. So, that's all I think I have to say. We have to say about Tetris.
Yeah.
This totally isn't recorded on a separate day because of technical difficulties or anything. Just
Definitely
don't
not.
pay attention to if it sounds a little different. Don't.
The different sound, that's just natural.
If you comment, you'll get 7 days of bad luck if you comment on this in particular.
All right, well, I think it's my turn next because we definitely didn't have a full day in between recording.
Yeah. And my voice probably sounds really different because the other day when I was trying, I was like sweating my ass off.
It was hot in here.
It was hot, and it rained, which I actually am glad. But we don't have to talk about the rain all day.
Yeah.
Let's get back to our memories.
Okay, so I am going to choose, because we got a list. I choose Street Fighter 1.
Okay.
All right.
Huh.
So I know we don't have like a whole bunch of memories with it, and our memories are probably similar to a lot of people. I think our story probably would be. But what is your recollection of Street Fighter, original Street Fighter, not Street Fighter 2?
Well, I didn't see, much like with Mega Man, which we've already talked about, I didn't see the first Street Fighter until after playing Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And I think the version we had was like on DOS.
Yeah.
And it was like hella stupid. Like
it was awful.
The actual graphic one, like in the arcade, actually is like, okay, they put some thought into this. But the other one, like, there's no music.
Right.
And, like, there are little flashes when you hit them, like tiny little dots. I don't even know. But all you heard was, like, boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
And there's no talking. Because I know that there's a weird kind of voice pattern in, like,
the first
I don't know
one.
what it is. Is it the TurboGrafx 16?
What strength? No,
Yeah.
it was an arcade game.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But, yeah, that's the same with me. We had this like crappy Capcom collection for your computer, and it had both of the Mega Man DOS games, and it had a crappy version of Street Fighter 2 and what was a crappy version of Street Fighter 1, right? And Street Fighter 1 is already crappy compared to Street Fighter 2.
Right.
But like this is even worse cuz it's like the guys are like the size of your thumbnail on the screen and it's all the same, and like you have two buttons.
Yeah. And I mean, in the DOS version, I think the control's even worse than in the actual version.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know. Like it's one of those games where I was like, I'll watch someone play it. I don't really want to be the one playing it. I'd try it once or twice, and it's like I literally can't do anything. There's no response here, like whatsoever. Like the computer knows exactly what to do, so it just kicks your butt immediately.
Right. It's just god awful.
Yeah.
And like this was like before internet, like real internet days, right? So, and we were very like accustomed to Street Fighter 2. We were into all the fighting game stuff. It was that era. But we had never encountered Street Fighter 1 anywhere. This was the version we had. I believed then at the time that this was Street Fighter 1.
Right.
Right. That there wasn't like if I were to play it in the arcade, it would be the same.
Right.
And it, like basically like Karate Champ or whatever on the NES.
It was about as bad.
It was as bad as Karate Champ.
And it didn't even. Karate Champ even has music in between, and I don't even think there was like any music in the DOS version of Street Fighter.
And Karate Champ had a voice in it too.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter's supposed to have it, but no, you're right. Like there was like one sound effect for like when you're hitting a person. It's like boom.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I think.
No, it was, and then like if it hit multiple times, it was like boom, 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 boom. It's so stupid.
Like I might be not giving it enough credit. There might have been 2 or 3 sound effects.
Maybe there might have been.
But I also like. It's the same story as a lot of people our age.
Yeah.
We were very into Street Fighter 2 and all the permutations of it. And I think you said this about Mega Man 2 as well, because we were super into Mega Man 2, but it's like, is there even like a Street Fighter 1?
Yeah.
Right? You can't find it anywhere. And the first time I actually found it out in the wild
okay,
was in at Marty's Playland, an arcade which is in Ocean City, Maryland.
Really? Is it still there?
It's not there anymore. But I found a cabinet of it finally, and this was after. This was, I mean, I was young, but I had been doing research into it since then. Like, I was probably in middle school. And so I knew enough about it to know there was some sort of arcade something, but I just never, and maybe I had been to the boardwalk on Ocean City before, and so maybe I just never noticed it because it just does not look like Street Fighter.
Right, right.
But I was able to play it there finally, and it's not like much better than, than the DOS. It's still a super disappointment, right?
I may have played the arcade version like once. I'm kind of surprised there wasn't one at the big arcade we went to.
Yeah.
I didn't see any Street Fighter there, actually.
It wasn't anywhere.
Yeah. But anyway, moving back to Street Fighter, I guess we did get a couple cool characters that they fleshed out more for Street Fighter Alpha, which is pretty cool. So that is something we got from it. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember having any like tournaments with friends or anything for it. I just remember it being like a novelty. It's just like play it when you want to laugh at how bad something is,
right?
You know? And that's, I guess, another thing I wanted to say before we move on is unless you had more, but like that might be also as a kid why logically we didn't think there was a one. Maybe we did think there was a one in the back of our heads, but we're like, it must be like so awful that no one played. And in Street Fighter's case, that's definitely true. In Mega Man's case, it's a lot more rudimentary and has a lot more flaws than like Mega Man moving to Mega Man 2. So I can see that, but I don't see it as a crappier game. But hey, if we didn't have Street Fighter 1, we may have not had Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. I mean, Street Fighter is easier to get confused about because you could only find it, you know, in the arcade. Street Fighter 1 you could only find in the arcade unless you had TurboGrafx CD. And even then it was called Fighting Street on there. And so it was just hard to come by. And then unlike Mega Man 2 or other games like this, Street Fighter 2 had like 1 billion permutations, so you just kind of get lost in all of them. And on top of it, you had like, we owned Street Fighter 2010 on the NES, so it's just a very, very confusing thing. So like, to not even realize Street Fighter 1 was a thing, I don't think in that case it's that odd.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them, it's like, how are you even keeping track when you're a little kid?
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was my main memory of it was the DOS thing, and I find that we have to talk about the Mega Man DOS some other time because, like I said, we got that in the pack as well.
We'll have to add it to the list. Speaking of which, I wonder if Doom is on here.
I put Doom. I lumped Doom and Doom 2 together because those are the ones we're talking about, not Doom 3.
Yeah, I mean Doom 3 and the other Dooms have their own sort of thing, but why don't we talk about Doom a little bit?
Nice. Yeah.
It's speaking of DOS.
Since we're on the subject of
so same era, we were probably playing that. I wasn't playing it as much until after you and your friend across the street played it all the time. I just watched usually.
I think because Jesse is 4 years younger than me. So, but our parents, it's funny, our parents were not, like, concerned about video game violence in any way, clearly. Because I was young, man.
Yeah.
I was elementary school, and they were just like, because I think our dad is really into science fiction and old school science fiction and stuff like that, and action movies like Terminator and RoboCop and stuff. And he was also kind of into video games at the time. Yeah. Like, he knew they were cool, even though he didn't play computer games.
Yeah.
So I just don't think he ever really like saw it as a big deal. But I got the first Doom as shareware on a disc.
Right.
That's so like I was there like mostly at the beginning. That's around the same time I got like Halloween Harry and Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Halloween Harry ended up becoming changing its name, but I like Halloween Harry better.
I like that too. What did they call it? Like Alien
something
Carnage. Or
yeah,
something.
Alien Carnage, something like that. Something that doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
But I think I got it at. It was
Circuit City.
It was like it was like
It might have been
Staples or something.
It might have been Circuit City because we didn't have Staples.
Not back then.
Back then, the electronics store we had was a Circuit City. That's it. I didn't know anything about Best Buy or anything, but yeah, we used to go to Circuit City a lot. Actually.
It probably was, and then in the mall, our video game store was Babbage's.
Right.
But usually we'd even go to Toys R Us,
mm-hmm.
right? Because we're little kids back then. We want toys as well.
Or KB Toys.
Or KB Toys was in the mall. I love KB Toys.
And then they also, quick aside, but what's the bookstore they had there a long while ago?
Oh,
not Borders or Barnes and Noble, because
Walden Books.
Walden, that's right. Yep.
And that was really close to the arcade that was there when we were that young, and then that changed to a different arcade. But we'll talk about that.
Fun Factory.
Fun Factory was the first arcade there. It was better than the second one that came along. It was bigger, in my opinion, and it had like fair games, and then there was another one called Pocket Change when that closed in the same mall. But anyhow, so Doom, like, me and my friends played the heck out of it, ended up getting the full version, and you had like the codes and everything, right? That allowed you to do stuff.
Walk through walls and turn invisible, God mode, all the weapons.
Yeah, I mean, what is your recollection of just Doom 1? Not Doom 2 necessarily, but those early days. Do you have any of the, like, just earliest times?
I just remember it being really violent and thinking it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, you're fighting demons and stuff, and the character... I mean, nowadays you look at him and he looks just kind of... I don't know. I mean, it's a DOS game, right? But I thought he looked pretty badass, and, like, I thought it was really cool that he was, like, looking around, and, like...
Yeah.
It's, like... almost like you could see his face live and then it would bleed and stuff. And I think that I played the game originally like exclusively with codes.
Yeah.
Back then. But I didn't beat the original Doom like legit until I was in high school probably.
Yeah, I mean the thing is it moved on to Doom 2 and like we were so young I think it all runs together. Because I remember getting Doom 2 at Costco. Or it wasn't Costco. It's like one of those big stores where you have... Because my parents had 4 kids. So they... When we were all growing up in the house together, they had like a thing there. And it was the same place. I don't think it was the same time where I got the like King's Quest collection that was out at the time with King's Quest 6 in it.
Right.
And that's where I got Doom 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether it came with a player's guide or not. By then, I think I knew some of the codes, so I might have had one for Doom 1 or something.
Right.
But that was huge as well. But it all just kind of does run together for me.
Yeah. That game, I think, is my first game experience with jump scares.
Oh, yeah.
Video games, because you'll walk into a room and nothing will appear, and you'll go in the middle of the room, and then behind you 2 doors open, and there are demons behind both doors, and they they close in on you like a pincer attack, and like you don't even know what's happened if you're like far in, right? So
yeah, and it was our first experience with like a first person shooter. Many people our age, that's the case. We had never played Wolfenstein 3D.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I could talk much about Wolfenstein 3D, honestly.
No, but like being first person allows you those like jump scares because you can be getting hit from the side all of a sudden and the screen flashes red and you hear the sounds.
Yeah.
And you're trying to...
Scary.
It's also like all those first feelings of like all these things like closing in on you too, like too many demons.
Finding the new demons, being like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And, I remember the shareware ended with not the cyber demon, because I for the longest time I remembered it as, the shareware ended with the cyber demon. But no, it's like those two, it's when they introduced those like horned guys with like goat feet that can throw fireballs.
Yeah.
And like they have you fight 2 of those as the boss to the shareware, and it ends up being like a pentagram, the whole thing.
Yeah, and it ends with like text, I think.
Yeah.
What are those things called? Like Hell's demons, hell's minions. It's something weird like that.
I don't know.
But I can also remember, this is kind of, it's not an aside really, but being in elementary school, in the cafeteria, sitting there with my friend, the one I played the game with, and talking about like a Doom movie, like we wanted there to be a Doom movie.
Oh.
And he wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to play like Doom guy or whatever.
Right.
And I wanted Sylvester Stallone to play him because I really liked Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I was like, I feel like Sylvester Stallone looks more like him.
Right.
And
That's funny.
he was like, yeah, that would be okay as long as Sylvester Stallone's not like being all like, I don't remember, like all full of himself. He made like a face or something. Like as long as he's not like this, and he made like a face.
That's funny.
I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's super funny.
Yeah.
I've never heard that story from you.
I just remember that.
It's video game recall magic, folks.
It's first time remembering that ever, probably.
Yeah, I just remember. I don't think it was in the first one. Was it only in Doom 2 where they introduced the BFG, or was that in the first one?
I think it was in the first one later.
But yeah, I remember thinking like, because I probably heard it when I was like in 5th grade or even 4th grade, like, oh, that really stands for big effing gun.
Yeah,
and it's like, I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
that is the coolest thing ever. Just because. You know, I remember as a kid, like, saying dang could get me in trouble.
Yeah.
But times have changed, and at that time it was like, whoa, like, BFG, what the F?
And you feel like you're hiding it from your parents, too, because they don't know, right?
Yeah.
They don't know what it stands
it's
for.
It's a secret, and it's funny. And, yeah, and it's like, they don't know I'm playing a game with a big effing gun.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, we touched on this briefly, but it's probably our first introduction to, like, true video game violence.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, gore. Like,
yeah.
It was obviously in other games, like Contra, and, like, we used to play Russian Attack a lot. Like, you could shoot people and stab people, but you're just not thinking about it.
Yeah.
And even though these are, like, demons, I guess there's zombies that are, like, humans, right?
Yeah.
But you can, like, see them, like, exploding, and you're having fun, like, shooting them and, like, seeing the blood. And this was even before probably Mortal Kombat for us.
Right. I don't know.
Maybe roughly same era.
It's roughly the same, but that's a whole different thing. I do want to say quickly, and I'll probably say in the Mortal Kombat thing, or maybe you will, but, like, as a child, I don't recollect, we could make a whole thing on this, but I don't really remember reports coming up on TV about the ESRB, like video game violence. Like, I look back on the internet, and there's so much stuff on it.
Yeah.
And how big it was. And for some reason, I don't know, I guess I was just too much into playing games to care.
It's also our parents didn't care.
Yeah.
Right? I remember briefly hearing about things like this in school, or mainly from my other friends who their parents wouldn't let them play these games. I was like, why? And they're like, they think the game is like bad for you or something. I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I play it. Like, my parents are awesome, like, people, and they let me play it. They're some of the most conservative at the time. They've kind of come around to being liberal more. But at the time, they were very, very conservative, and they didn't give a crap, right? Like, they were like, just play whatever you want. Like, let's watch Terminator. Like, our dad, like, right? Like, I saw Terminator 2 in theaters when I was probably around the same age. Yeah. And obviously, like, so I do remember it. I remember especially when they were introducing the ratings, because Sega tried to have its own rating first.
Yeah.
And I remember those. And I remember looking at them in the store and being like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, our parents didn't care. They didn't look at them. They don't care.
I remember it just being kind of lame.
It's lame, yeah.
But I also remember as a personal experience, and this is the way people look at it that don't know how it actually works, but I didn't get, shocked. I didn't get shocked at because I was a kid. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, it's blood. Like, whatever. Like, it's not like shocking to me to the point where I was like, I'm disturbed.
Right.
You know? Like, I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I bleed, they bleed, they're bad guys. It looks gross. That's cool. Because I'm a Nickelodeon kid
Right.
from back then.
Right.
You know? And it's just like, you don't even really react to it very much.
No.
You don't think like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. But, I don't know. Some kids, I'm sure, did. But it was just like, to me, I was just like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes it a cool game because none of the other games are doing it. So.
Right, I agree with that. That's probably the way I saw it too. Like maybe the first time you saw it, you were like, "Oh, I'm shooting demons and it explodes in gore," and you think it's cool. But like to me, it was always thinking it's cool because like it's in the game. Like the video game is like able to do it.
Yeah, the graphics.
Like the graphics
yeah.
and the ability to do it for the first time because I'd never played a game like that. Similar to like Mortal Kombat, like it acted differently to Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of blood, but it's like more that the fatalities are there than the fact that they're like super gory necessarily.
Yeah, we need to put ESRB down as a thing because we could talk about all of those, but I'm wondering if it's better to talk about those games individually first, or maybe we need to take all of this and roll it into an episode about the ESRB.
They see me rolling.
Yes.
So, Doom 2, do you have anything else to say about it?
I just remember you and your friend being very, very excited for it. And,
oh, yeah.
I remember, since it's a new game, you've got all sorts of new maps, and you've got new enemies, and just new stuff.
Right.
I remember the chainsaw and like.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, where you can like dismember them. Like,
right.
Like, but again, it's like, who cares?
Or like being excited for the double barrel shotgun. I remember being like, oh my god, it's 2 barrel.
Yeah, it does do more in the game, by the way. But yeah, like just the way it looks. I don't even know if we look, but yeah, it was. There was just a lot of new crap. Like I think. I don't even remember. Oh yeah, I remember you guys getting to the end boss and thinking that end boss is crazy. Like,
oh yeah,
like the giant wall or whatever. I was like, who would make a boss like a freaking wall that
right
shoots out monsters and stuff? But it was really cool. And yeah,
it was hard. You know, it was really hard. But it was like. The biggest boss you could possibly have, just like the entire wall of the room.
Yeah.
You know?
But still, when all else fails, just use cheats.
Right. You can use the one to like go through it and you see the guy's face on the other side, right?
Yeah. I may have to say that the Doom series is the first one that introduced like legitimate cheats to me. Maybe Game Genie.
Right.
But still, they're pretty close together. I don't know if I may have seen Doom or Doom 2 before getting a Game Genie. I think it may have been a little after, but integrated into the game is what I mean.
Yeah, put them in while you're playing.
Yeah, because for the longest time after that, like, in Turok, like, it would be, like, it might not even be in the options. It might be, like, a separate option before even going into, like, cheats.
Right,
you know?
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes you had to unlock them, sometimes you had to type a code in that you would find like a Nintendo Power or go on the internet, and as rudimentary as it was, like go to GameFAQs. That's where we went.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, like
GameFAQs. I wonder if GameFAQs is still around, right?
I have no idea.
I'll have to look.
It's probably around in some form.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because NES games, which we had an NES, and NES games were such that usually you'd put the code in before you started the game, like the Contra code, or even using the Game Genie is like that. In Doom, it was really, really interesting because you can put them in at any time, and you can turn them on and off. Like God mode, you can turn on and off. So you can use it to like learn a level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then get through it without the God mode on, because you can turn it
Right.
on at parts where you know you're gonna die.
Like practice mode.
And that's the first time I really remember seeing that. It might have been like that with other PC games, but really, Doom 2 and King's Quest 6 are the first two PC games I can remember being PC games that I actually wanted to play.
Yeah.
Those are the first two for me, aside from like the stuff that came with the computer, right? Like Chips Challenge, I really liked. But
yeah, I had something I was gonna say. I remember your friend. It was either your friend or you got a. It's like an edition. I guess it's called Doom Eternal.
yeah,
But I don't even know if it was Doom Eternal that I'm remembering.
Ultimate Doom,
You could
probably.
make your own levels.
Yeah, that came
remember
eventually.
You all having fun with that and just making a room full of like crushers.
Yeah.
like, I actually have memory of that. And another thing I wanted to mention real quick is the difficulty, like the way they say them. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's the first time I had seen anything creative like that as far as like difficulty setting. It wasn't easy.
Hurt me
medium, hard.
plenty.
It was hurt me plenty, and like wasn't like easy. It was like I'm too young to die or something like
Right.
that. And then there's like nightmare for like and
Just
they have it
outright.
in blood too. Like they also have different graphics for each. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was each of them, but like the last one is like in blood, and I never could do that. Like it's like you would get in the game and then like 50 things would like ambush you right away and you die.
Yeah. It's true. Like the difficulty. I think that's like, again, it was a new type of game for us, but you go up to that difficulty, and I remember just like immediately dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I don't think I still even play the game on that
No.
that setting.
I do know that there was like multiplayer at one point too, but I don't think you all. I think you both had to have the game, and it had to be like a LAN party. So I don't believe we ever did it
No.
until like maybe they had it available like way later in like I don't know in browsers or if you could.
I don't think
Download
I ever did it. Honestly, the internet connection was not good enough when internet came around for
Yeah.
us. Like, I know internet existed at that time, but we didn't know internet like was a thing.
We had a computer for a while before we got the internet on.
Yeah, we got AOL
I
first.
think our second computer is what we got like the internet connected to. But
Yeah.
before that, it was like just for Word documents for my dad.
yeah.
For our dad.
Yeah, our first computer barely had anything on it.
The last thing I guess I'll talk about for Doom is have you seen Brutal Doom? The mod pack that people have made.
Yeah.
And they've made again, the game's been around for so long that like people have made it look like insanely crazy.
Right.
Like just like you can actually aim up and down kind of like in newer ones, because in Doom that's another thing. You couldn't aim up or down. It was just like you had to be pointed in the direction, and then it would decide if it was going down or up.
Yeah, it would gravitate if you were shooting in the general direction, which could be frustrating because there could be multiple enemies.
Yeah, and
you
sometimes you were way so far above the other enemy or so far below, you couldn't even see them.
No.
So you had to like run backwards. I don't even know if you had to run backwards. You could just shoot at the wall where they are, and it probably would have killed them. But it was very awkward. But for the time, it was astonishingly awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, one of my favorite games of all time is, Doom coupled with Doom 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just for those memories alone. I could keep talking about it. The story is awesome, was awesome to me. It's like Aliens meets, like, I don't know, like Event Horizon or something. And the music is amazing.
And we had like the Sound Blaster card, right?
That's
so,
the stuff I prefer.
Because there are, I mean, like, you could get different sound cards after that. I mean, obviously, that is something very obvious. But I don't know if Sound Blaster was, like, one of the first or if it was just a different type. But it's the one that had the iconic, like, DOSy sound to it to me. Like, clicky. and I don't know, but every softer version I hear after that, I'm like, no, Doom has to sound like mechanical
Gritty.
and gritty. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
yeah, but that's because we grew up with it that way. So.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we could keep going on this. Is there anything extra you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, I do remember at Magfest we found just like a table with Doom and
Magfest 8, right?
yeah, I don't know if it was 8 or whatever, but it was like an all nighter sort of
Yeah.
thing, and I think we did that, and people just had their systems out everywhere, so everyone could play different games.
Right.
Totally different times than the COVID thing. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? No one had masks on. No one. But anyway, I remember us finding it on the PlayStation, like the original.
Yeah, I
PlayStation,
remember that too.
and trying to figure out like controls and stuff because they were a little different. Trying to get used to them. And eventually, I feel like didn't the game like power all the? That's right, like a whole line of like people lost power to their
Yeah.
games or something. I don't know if it was too much power or like just one plug got unplugged, but yeah, we stopped playing it because it got. We actually got a few levels in.
Yeah, I remember that specifically as well because I remember I think we had just gotten our like iPod minis or whatever, the ones that could video.
Yes.
And I believe it was Magfest 8, by the way. And I was listening to, I think both of us maybe, we were both listening to music as we were doing it. And I was listening to Nitzer Ebb
Oh,
while I was
really?
playing Doom. And it like goes really, really well with it.
That
Like
makes
join
sense.
in the chant.
Yeah.
Like for
yeah.
whatever reason, it sounds kind of like that old DOS music. And it's like guns, guns,
Fire.
fire,
Yeah.
fire.
I
Right.
remember now also that there was a Rock Band 2 place because Rock
Yeah.
Band 2 or even Rock Band 3, I can't remember. I think it was still Rock Band 2, but it was at its height in popularity. That was like when you I don't know, you could play that video game and feel like a rock star
Yeah.
even though you're like you know that it's not the real thing, but that's just a little side note too. And they had like challenges there, but that's about Magfest. And I just remember in the back of my mind having those things like, oh, maybe I should go to the Rock Band thing after
Yeah.
it powering off, or maybe I should do this or that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Memories of Doom
Memories of Doom achieved. And
Yes.
Doom 2 kinda.
unlocked,
Unlocked. Okay,
completed.
so I guess we'll move on to another one. So let's talk about Gain Ground.
Gain ground. All right.
So again, we have an interesting
This is another history, and
history with this.
the history is not over with this game.
No.
I don't think. I think eventually we're gonna have to go back.
Oh, we definitely are.
Yeah, but like many many years ago when we were doing, I think we've mentioned this before. We were trying to do our
Another
our
internet show.
YouTube show or whatever.
Yeah.
That was one of the games we played.
Yeah.
And we did it like what, like maybe 2 or 3 times, and then like 1 or 2 times after that, like maybe months after or a year after, like we kept trying to get together a good episode on it.
Right.
And it's a very addictive game. I remember having fun playing it. Do you remember what like the gameplay is like?
You're different people. You have different people. And I think you can choose them. I don't even remember anymore. I remember we
You
got
can
it.
save people, and maybe you can use. Can you use the people that you save or something like that, and they count as your lives, something like that?
I don't remember at all now,
I
which
just
is
remember.
weird.
Isn't every level just one screen though?
Yeah, one
Pretty
screen.
much?
It's kind of like an overhead view.
Yeah, I mean the best way I could put it together is like, Gauntlet meets what is that? Ikari Warriors or something like
Yeah,
that. 'Cause
similar.
It's slow, but also they've got enemies coming at you. But we were playing 2-player. I don't know if it was friendly fire, like we would hit each other on accident,
I think
Or
it's the
if
different people had different weapons too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Almost similar to General Chaos in that way.
Yeah.
Like, you've got different people, and you're using them strategically to get through the level, kind of.
Yeah.
But there is action in it. And yeah, we hadn't played it until then, because we were just, like, looking for two-player games.
Uh-huh.
And we ended up getting really into it. But we
Yeah,
kept
it's
trying...
fun.
We kept trying to record a video of it, and every single time a technical problem occurred, or we got interrupted.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, and so we'd get really frustrated and wouldn't play it anymore, and then, like, a couple months later we'd come back to it and try it again, and the same stuff happened.
Yeah.
And we tried that about 3 or 4 times over the course of, like, a year.
And then I guess we gave up.
we gave up on the entire YouTube channel.
That's true, yeah.
But
We could still take clips from that at some point.
I have the footage. Some of the times, like, the footage, like, didn't record right. Like, that was the point.
Yeah.
And some of the times the audio didn't record right. And sometimes we just outright got, like, I think one time, like, the console, like, powered off or something.
Mm-hmm.
One time someone interrupted us and it, like, threw us entirely off.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to get as far in the game as we could as well. Like, we were trying to do relatively well.
Yeah.
And we were getting pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember liking it.
I liked it every time I played it too, but I think well, I don't know. The game was hard, so it was easy to get tired of, but it was one of these games you want to come back to. I'm guessing it's another one that was in arcades. I just haven't seen a cabinet of it. But,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But each time, like, also we were in that small little room and,
Right.
like, surrounded by, like, the microphone stand stuff, and, like, we just had all this crap in the way, which I feel like it would be a lot simpler today. The game was hard, but the situations I think that we got in outside of the game were harder. Like, sometimes the temperature would just be
Right.
like if you all had heard before, like, my voice was different and my attitude was different in the last recording of this show when I was talking about Tetris.
It was really hot in this room, is what it is. That's why
it changes everything.
That's why we had to. Yeah, it changes your mood. We had to take a break for a day.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if I can do anything in that type of heat, like, without getting more agitated and getting more serious and just angry. But I know that's, like, something that people suffer from when they get too warm or whatever. And then there's too cold, which is another problem.
Yeah, but the point is that room would get really hot. I think at that time it was really hot.
Yeah.
And on top of it, I think Gain Ground is, if I'm remembering correctly, it's a game where, like, if you die enough times, you just are
You're
automatically
done.
you're done.
You're done.
And I think the people you collect to use, if they die, like, that you might not be able to use them again. I might be remembering that wrong. But it was really frustrating to get really far, and to be interrupted by something. Either it's you not feeling good from the heat, and you just, or like a person, and you start doing poorly, and then it just throws you completely off, and you get thrown all the way back to the beginning of the game. And you're like, I do not want to do this again. Like, I cannot have fun in front of the camera right now, or whatever.
It was a perfect storm, I think, because there were a lot of conditions. Because I remember now also, we had to, we also wanted to look okay at the game, at least good at the game.
Right.
So there would be times when we would record an episode and we would just start sucking, or we would just suck that day.
Yeah.
And that would get us angry too. And you have to also picture, before we go there, we drive around with, large sodas
from
McDonald's and just chug the whole thing, and then get into a room that's like 90 degrees or something like that.
The whole room, or the whole point, is just to get as hyperactive as possible, which is why nobody liked this show except us. When we listen to it, we still think it's funny, but it's just us being hyperactive and, like, screaming into a microphone.
We're laughing at it. We're laughing at it more. There aren't real jokes. I mean, I guess there are, but yeah, we were just off the wall. But Imagine that scenario. We would do that before like every episode.
Right.
It was a tradition. It was go out, listen to some awesome music, get pumped up, and drink an entire freaking large soda.
Like double big gulp or something, and
Yeah.
like chug some sugar too
for
if you
it
have
was
it.
a double big gulp. That's even
Yeah.
larger for
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Because it's more healthy.
Right. And for me, it was a large McDonald's, but
Right.
it's still pretty big. But yeah, those big double gulps were insane.
Oh yeah.
We could have a whole memory thing just on those. They're still there, I'm sure. Right?
Oh no, the 7-Eleven still has
7-Eleven still has those.
them. Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Crazy times. And yeah, I guess that's our recollection of Game Ground is just it's a good game. It can be frustrating, but we just got like so frustrated at it constantly.
I remember it being pretty strategic too. Like you had
Yeah.
to be smart. You had to be smart. You had to be responsive, and
Get in a zone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I do think it being like a mix between Ikari Warriors and Gauntlet. I think that's probably the best description I could
Yeah.
put for it.
That sounds about right.
But I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it a lot, and yeah.
Yeah, I still think about coming back and playing it from time to time because I remember you have to practice a little at the beginning, but once you get it down, you just get in the zone and you can do it better. And I like games like that. So nowadays with like there were save states back then, but nowadays like I might actually utilize them
Yeah.
to not like back then I was especially when we were doing that show we're like we're not going to do that. If we die, we're going to start over again.
Yeah, we were too stubborn
Yeah.
with that stuff. We were like, we want it to be an authentic experience.
Like anyone
but
cares.
while it's authentic, we're going to scream into the microphone as loud as possible and just like... Yeah, it didn't even matter at that point, you know? Like, if the gameplay was authentic.
We did over 70 episodes of this shit.
Did we?
Yeah.
Over 70, wow. We need to get the good stuff out of there, or
What
at
good
least...
stuff?
We had good times,
I know.
but it was, I don't know, maybe we could clean some of it up, but we would just have to mix it lower because we're yelling, and we're not always yelling, but...
No, there was funny stuff in there, obviously.
And we tried to learn stuff about the games before playing them and say stuff, but it was different, much more insensitive times.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, honestly, that it didn't go anywhere until now, us talking about it. But yeah, Game Ground was awesome.
Yeah.
It's, and I say it like we can't play it again, but again, yeah, it was the perfect storm. You had to not only be good at it, but we had to not have anyone come home or
Not get interrupted, not feel lousy.
not have a cat do something.
Oh, our cat's interrupted a couple times.
Yeah, so good times.
Good times.
Yep.
So, okay, I think we can call it for now.
In closing,
We don't have anything to say in closing. No. It's a lot of fun to sit here and reminisce about things.
For sure.
We hope to keep doing it. And we never know how to end videos, so it's just going to end like this.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Have a good day at work.
Have a good day at home.
Yep.
Have a good day no matter what. Even if it's night, have a good day.
Even if it's day, have a good night.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. Yeah.